Hello, you sexy biscuits, and welcome back into Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We have more information on the Legacy of the Forge DLC, as well as patch 1.4. There's a lot to dive into here, so first things first, I want to give a massive shout out to Steffi over at Gamestar, as I'll be using her amazing article, and I'll be leaving a link in the description below for that, as well as the fact that I've gone to the location of where the forge is going to be, and I've used the free cam mode, and you'll be seeing that in the background. But let's get to the details of patch 1.4, the next big patch for KCD2, because there's a couple of really interesting things in here I think you guys will like. So not only do we have photo mode improvements, finally, there's going to be now settings for filters and depth of field, and also a fisheye lens, which sounds interesting. And I'm also hoping they extend the distance. I ended up using a mod in this video to show you inside the Legacy of the Forge area, but currently the distance you can fly with a photo mode isn't a lot, so maybe that's something they can look into doing. But I think the most interesting thing here is going to be the addition of an adaptive HUD option. So you can now deactivate and activate this. So for instance, combat UI will only pop up when you enter combat. If you use too much stamina, that bar will appear. And I'm hoping what you're able to do with this is turn it on and off completely, because I know for a fact people want to be able to turn the HUD off. This is something I've been talking about since KCD1. Having that option to turn the HUD off completely would be amazing and super immersive with KCD2. So obviously we don't know the full extent of this, but yeah, this is a great step in the right direction. And of course, on top of that, patch 1.4 will of course be coming with performance and bug fixes, and I can't wait to delve into that, and that's going to be coming free to everyone, obviously, who owns the game. So, let's dive into Legacy of the Forge, because this is something we looked at in the last video. This is going to be Martin's forge, your father's forge, before he ended up moving to Skalitz to start his life with unnamed woman, and you as a baby. Steffi actually got to have an exclusive preview chat with Warhorse, and I'm assuming Sir Toby over there as well at Gamescom, which is currently going on, and she ended up getting a few cool details out of them, so I'm going to be going into those. So this DLC is going to not only include the forge itself, but it's also going to include a separate room for Henry that can also be fully customized. Now, an interesting thing here is when I was using the free mode on the camera, there seems to be two buildings next to one another, and the amount of space leads me to believe that there might not just be Henry's room and the forge. I think there could be additional rooms that we could maybe build, because it seems like these two buildings that are next to one another are going to be part of this DLC. Well, at least I'm hoping so. And there's some really interesting spaces out back for smokers, and there's also going to be places for chickens, as well as beehives. That has been confirmed. There are going to be beehives as well, which is going to be an infinite source of honey. Amazing. But on top of that, we're also going to be having an alchemy lab built in, so we don't have to travel to different places to use alchemy labs. And also a laundry room. Does that mean we're going to have our own bath maid? Which sounds amazing. So this seems like a one-stop place. This is Henry's home, it's got everything built in, and you can use this as your home base, which I think is fantastic. But also, there appears to be a blanket to chill under a tree. Are we going to be maybe having romantic moments with Hans Capon or Rosa under that tree at some point? That's a possibility, and I can't wait to see what that entails. But the furnishing in this DLC is going to be adding buffs. So if you build, let's say, a dining table, a fancy dining table, that will give a buff to your food for an entire day. And that goes for every item that you place within this area. They will all come with their own temporary buffs, and that sounds really interesting to go through, and there appears to be a ton of different options. Now, Steffi does mention there appears to be a new animal surprise in the expansion, and there's a corresponding enclosure in the teaser. Now, the only thing I can think that this could be is that there appears to be a stables in the back, So maybe we could have our own little house for Pebbles. But one of the things I'm most excited about is the different paintings and designs you can have on the building, and I'm wondering how many of those are going to be in the game, and also how this ties into Brushes with Death. Now, some important things I've seen people asking. No, you do not have to have completed the game to play this DLC. The only rule is that you have got to Kuttenberg, right? You have to get to the second map. That's it. As soon as you get to the second map, apparently you can start this DLC straight away. Also, upgrades are immediate. Once you purchase them, you don't have to wait for someone to come and build it. Now, we did mention, I think, prestige in that last video, and I didn't know what that was. Apparently, the more prestige you have, you're able to use that to build new things. So it's kind of like its own currency system. So as Steffi says, the more reputation you have with guilds in Kuttenberg, the more improvements you can then make to your forge. And this then moves on to a new type of side quest called dailies. Now, this isn't like mobile game things where you have to log in every day, I don't think, but every day in-game, you have these new activities you can do, and there are 3. Duels, very exciting, dice games, oh yeah, Farkle, and of course, blacksmithing challenges. So I'm assuming you'll have maybe Barry will come over and be like, oh, I need 15 horseshoes, and then you go ahead and make those. I'm hoping there's going to be an option to maybe hire another blacksmith maybe, so they can work on stuff in the background. I'm hoping that's going to be a thing. And of course, completing those quests will raise Henry's prestige level, and that's going to be working towards it. Also, during the trailer for this, we did see the astronomical clock in Kuttenberg, seen quite a few times in that teaser. And apparently there's going to be a couple of little quests regarding that, and that's going to tie in somehow, so that's interesting. And on a side note, she did ask about the Hansri Nation. Now, if you are part of the Hansri Nation, they're all over Twitter at the moment, and she asks whether Warhorse is going to be building on the romance with Hans and Henry, and how maybe you could invite your chosen lover, whoever you picked in the game, to your own room, right? So I think that could be really interesting, having maybe go on dates like you did with Teresa in the first game. Warhorse did mention that they absolutely loved the response for the Hans romance, so hopefully they're going to be adding on to that at some point in the next DLC or maybe in an update. How long will this DLC take? Now, this is something Steffi mentions. Warhorse told her beforehand to expect around 5 hours. But, now I want to put a big but there. Obviously, we have dailies. You're going to be having new quests every day. It's going to be kind of like Skyrim, where you're getting new quests constantly. Radiant quests, I think is what they're called. After 12 hours, my colleagues and I were still testing it, so I take every estimate from the studio with a grain of salt. According to them, DLC number 2 is difficult to narrow down because it depends a lot on how much players put into the building. Most will probably end up with 10 to 20 hours. I'll report back with more details when I get the test. So that puts my mind at ease a little bit, because 5 hours, yeah, that does seem pretty short. But no, it's not going to be as simple as that, I don't think, at all. And this, I think it was $6.99 for the Brushes with Death DLC. I'm hoping this is around the same price. And if you own the Season Pass, of course, you're going to be getting this immediately for free, right? But yeah, there is a lot of information here. A massive deep dive. Amazing work to Steffi. Go and read this article for yourself over on Gamestar, link in the description below. And a massive thank you to you for watching. What do you think? Comment down below, leave a like, but until next time, that's me out. Bye, guys.